Alright, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to see the solutions to the problems, basically three problems that we saw in the last video, which are exercises for you to get acquainted with functions, right? So these were the three exercises we had. First is to count the number of A's in a string. Second is to calculate the factorial of a number. And third is to convert all A's to uppercase, right? So how you can do this is, let's start with the first one. So I'll name the file, let's say exercise.html, and how I'm going to approach the thing is that I'll make three different functions in the same JavaScript file, but I'll call them according to my need, right? Just let me set up my HTML. Now we need a new file. I'll see my alert if I'm getting that. Yes, I am. So this is fine. And alright, so now we can start doing the things. So first of all, I need to make the function, right? I'll make the function as, let's say, I'll name it count A, right? And I'll do this. So now I'm going to need a string in here, which is passed as an argument. So I'm going to do var check, let's say, right? And you don't give var in function name, right? Check. So now I have a parameter here, and I'm going to run a loop like var I is equal to 0, I is less than check.length plus plus I. And now I'll do if. So now first I need a variable named count, which is initialized to 0, right? And then I'll do if check dot char I equals, we wanted to get A, right? So if it's A, I'll do count plus plus, right? So this is basically our logic done, and I'll return count from here. So now the main logic that I need to do is I need to get a string through a prompt. So I'll do var str is equal to prompt enter string, right? And then I'll call the count A function using this string. Alright, so now I can go here and I can refresh my page. It says enter string, so I'll enter. So I've made some examples here. So if I enter abracadabra, I should get 5. So I'll refresh, and so I won't get anything right now, mostly because we have called the function, but we are not doing anything with the value that is returned. So I can do console.log, and in this way whatever value is returned will be logged to the console, right? So now I'll refresh the page again, and I'll enter the string to be abracadabra, and I get 5 basically. So yeah, it's counting this fine. So basically what I did was I passed the string to the function, I initialized the variable to 0, and then I traversed the whole string, and whenever the letter that I was encountering, which is checked by this, was A, then I was increasing the count by 1, and I could do triple equals here. And I still get 5 because character is same data type. So whenever I got A there, I increased my count by 1, and in the end I returned the count. So this is basically counting the number of A's in a particular string, right? Alright, so this is the solution to our first thing. Now let's make our second function. And this one I'll make using the arrow syntax. So what our second exercise was to get factorial, right? And I'll go here, I'll do factorial is equal to arrow function. And in here I need an argument known as, let's say, num. So now this is the logic that you had to think of, that we are basically, if we have num, right, we want num factorial. This is how you represent a factorial, right? An exclamation mark is equal to num star num minus 1 star num minus 2 star dot 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 star 1, right? So basically we are starting from num and we're decreasing the value by 1 until we get to 1. So this is a loop. So I can make a variable known as var answer is equal to, and I can initialize it to 1. Now why 1? Because I'm going to multiply all of these numbers into this answer variable. So I needed 1 in the beginning, right? I'll do for var I is equal to num I is greater than 0 plus plus I, and now I'll do answer star is equal to I. So what this is doing is answer starts at 1, then I starts at num, and first we multiply the answer by I. So this becomes, let's basically just think what's happening. Initially the answer is 1, then after one run it becomes equal to num, then in the second run it becomes num star num minus 1, because now it was originally num, and then I multiplied num minus 1 to it, because, and this will be minus minus, right? So then we multiplied num minus 1 to it, and so this will keep on going, right, until we get to num factorial. Again, if you are not able to get this, we are starting from 1, the answer variable is starting from 1, and then we are multiplying all the numbers starting from num until 1, because I is greater than 0, means that the last value that I can have in this is 1. So we are multiplying all numbers from num to 1 into this variable, which is originally 1. So we are calculating this expression right here, right? And now what I can do is return answer. So now I could do var num here to prompt enter number, and this obviously needs to be changed to integer, right? So now this is an integer, and what I need to do is I need to console.log factorial num. Alright, so now this should work. If I go here and if I refresh, this says enter number, and here I have my example. 5 factorial is 120, right? So I enter 5 here, I get 120. So this is working fine. And just to check, we could try some other things. So let's see what 2 factorial should be. 2 factorial is basically 2 into 1. So this is 2. So if I enter 2 here, I'm getting 2. That's fine. And let's say 4 factorial. 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So if you calculate that, it's 12 into 2, 24 into 1, 21. 24, sorry. So I'll enter 4 here and I get 24. So my factorial is working fine. And just the one thing is that you might not know this if you don't know factorials already, but 0 factorial is 1, right? This is kind of an exception. And if I enter 0 here, this is still working because of this logic. But there might be some logic in which if you start from 0, you would be getting the answer to be 0, right? And in that case, what you need to do is if num equal to 0, return 1. Yeah, so this is something new. What you can basically do is you can check a condition that if this condition is true, return 1. And one thing about return is that whenever you encounter a return statement in a factorial in any function, the statements after that are not executed. So if 1 is returned, then these statements will not be executed, right? And if this condition is false and 1 is not returned, then these things will be executed, right? So this will basically work as it's working now. If I refresh again and enter 0, I'll still get 1, but this time you can see this is due to line 28. Yeah, so this is actually this, but this is getting returned from here, right? All right. So now we have done the first two things, and the last is this replacement thing. So this, I had told you that you would have to search the web for it, and that's exactly what you need to do. So I'll show you the process, so I'll show you the process of how you can do that, and so that you can just see if you weren't able to actually figure out how to search. That's an important skill, and hence let's do this. So I'll do replace elements in a string in JavaScript. So you could do a simple search like this, and you see the first link we get is actually the most helpful one, mostly. So the replace method searches for a string of a specified value. So here's a simple example where res is equal to str.replace Microsoft W3 schools. So what this will do is that this is the string str, and in the string str, this will replace all Microsofts, which is basically this only, with W3 schools. And if we run this in our console, we'll get visit W3 schools instead of Microsoft in this res string. So we can use the replace method. Alright, so let's go here. I'll comment this too, and yeah, so now I'll make my third function, which is, let's call it replace all, right? Yeah, that's it, is equal to, and we'll make it an arrow function again, and the argument we need is a string, so I'll name it original, right? And now all we have to do is original dot replace, and we need to replace all small a's with big A's, right? I mean uppercase A's. So, and now this will return a value. So what you can do is you can take it in a variable, and then you can return that variable, and this will work. However, what I'm going to do is I'm directly going to return this, and this is just to show you that you could do this. So wherever you're getting a return value from any function, you can directly access it without storing it in a variable too. Like here I've written return original.replace AA. So what will happen is whatever value is returned from this replace function, as you see here, str.replace returns a value which you store, which is the new string that you need, will be returned directly from this replace all function, right? So I can just use this code itself and where str, or I'll probably duplicate this, and I'll comment this back, and I'll move these below. This is just to give a nice formatting in the end, right? Yeah, so where str is equal to prompt enter string, that's fine, and I'll change this because in the end I'm gonna uncomment all three. I'll name this str1, let's say, and instead of count a, I'm going to call replace all. So now let's see if this works, and I refresh. This is enter string, so I'll enter, and I had my example here. Again, it's abracadabra, so we see that only the first A gets replaced. So what's the reason behind that? Well, actually, I know the workaround to this. There's something known as the global, right? And we have to use that. But again, just to show you the process to accomplish something when you are getting an error, what you can do is you can simply go back here and we can read what the definition says. It says searches for a string, blah blah blah. This is the node that you need to know. So if you are replacing a value, only the first instance of the value will be replaced. To replace all occurrences, use the global modifier. So let's see what, like they've said, see the more examples below. So we'll go to the more examples below. Here's the more example, perform a global replacement. This is what we need. So str.replace /blue/tree, red. So let's try that out. I'll do, instead of this, I'll say /a/g, and now I'll go here, I'll refresh my page, and now I see all my A's get replaced. So this was basically how this was supposed to be done, and this required the skill of first Googling it, and second, I myself, if I didn't know how this worked, I would first do this and I would come back to the site only when I was getting only the first A capital and rest of them, normal as they were, because there's no point in reading this whole article if you need actually this line itself, right? Yeah, so this is how you could do all these exercises, and just to show them at once, I'll do this like, and these examples I can move up, right? And this I can remove, or I'll not remove. Yeah, so this is working fine, and before each of them I can add a nice string saying number of A's in given string, and let's append the string here too. Is, and then we print the number. Here we enter factorial of and in here we need our number, which is num. So factorial of num is factorial num, right? And the last thing I'll say is after replacement of all A's by A's in plus, I'll do str1, and here I'll say we get, right, and here I'll enter string for replacement, for replacement operation. Here I'll enter number for factorial operation, enter string for what was this for? To count the number of A's. Alright. So now I can go here and I can refresh my page. Enter string to count the number of A's. Abracadabra. So number of A's in the given string, abracadabra, is 5. Enter number for factorial operation. I'll enter 5. Factorial of 5 is 120. Enter string for replacement operation. Abracadabra. So after replacement of all a's by a's in abracadabra, we get abracadabra, right? Seems pretty weird when you see it without any context. Listen to it without any context, right? Alright, so this was the solution to all the problems that we had, and yeah, so that's it for this video. We have finished functions, and now the only thing we'll do with functions is use them. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video.